Hello students, welcome to the online class Well. In our last class, we got to know that Arcanine, in spite of having a car, believes more in the philosophy of walking. So let's move on to the next paragraph. I'll be reading the paragraph followed by explanation. Among the things I value are privacy and anonymity. Both are lost when I allow myself to be carried about in a gaudy car. It is like sitting in a howdah on elephant back and hoping not to be noticed. Students, here two words are very important. One is privacy and the other anonymity. So in R.K. Narayan's case, he values much his privacy and anonymity. Now, what is meant by anonymity? Anonymity comes from the word anonymous, unknown. In other words, R.K. Narayan feels that he should be unknown to others. That is, he should remain unknown to the public. And privacy means your own private life, which should not be known to others. So we find that R.K. Narayan wants that his private life should be a secret one and he should remain unknown to others because he is a very popular writer of his time and is known to the public more. But after having his imported car, he is very much open to the public. So he says that traveling in the car is like traveling on the back of an elephant and thinking that no one would be noticing him or observing him. This is really impossible because if someone is on the back of an elephant, he or she is always open to everyone's sight. So this is the problem he finds after having the car and traveling in it, that he loses his privacy and anonymity in a way. Next paragraph. In a compact city like Mysore, where everyone can meet everyone else at will, movements became known to the whole town and someone or the other would remark, you were at the store this morning, or I saw you going down the market road. No harm, normally speaking, in such observation or inquiry, but in my case it leads to complications, embarrassment, since I generally avoid all public engagements and invitations with the excuse that I will be away at Bangalore 100 miles away, or Madras 200 miles away, or Delhi 1000 miles away, depending upon the persistence of the man asking me. Apart from this, I was in constant dread lest my driver should feel inspired to test my car's facial virtue of being able to attain full speed in 2 minutes. Students, let us understand what R.K. Narayan says in these lines. Narayan says that Mysore is a very compact city, meaning that it is not spreaded. If one moves in the city, he or she is likely to be noticed or to be known to many people. And XII was a popular writer. If he happened to meet somebody, one or the other would remark that they saw him in the market that day, that means that morning. They saw him down on the market road, this or that. Akinarayan also says that this is a very common behavior, but in his case, it became a sort of complication because he valued his privacy and anonymity very much. So, whenever he was invited for certain public engagements, he would take an excuse not to go there by saying that he would have to go somewhere else. Sometimes he would say that he would have to go to Madras, which is 300 miles away, sometimes to Bangalore, which is 100 miles away, and sometimes to Delhi, which is 1000 miles away. In that way, Akinarayan saved himself from going to different public engagements. Another reason for not moving in his car was the fear about his driver. His driver was very interested in checking the full speed of the car, and Narayan knew that the car picked up full speed in a very short time, that is within 2 minutes. In case his driver would test it, it would be a dangerous thing that they could meet an accident. Next paragraph. At the workshop, I could not help noticing the battered remains of many cars which had tried this facility on our roads. Our mechanic bluntly explained, "No problem, we can always bring them back to shape, part of our job. Nothing is impossible. Insurance will take care of our bills even if we have to change 30 or 40,000 for repair. So why worry?" Narayan says that he had seen many battered cars. Battered here means broken and made out of shape. Here he means to say that he had seen many cars which had met accidents and they are taken in a very bad shape to the workshops. But the people at workshop would behave in a very different way. They would rather say that it was their job to bring those battered cars into better shapes, in fact to the original shape. And there was nothing to worry about it because the mechanics would do their job. The money required to do this would be paid by the insurance company, even if the bill would go to more than 30 or 40,000 rupees. So people in the workshop would say that there would be nothing to worry about in such a matter. Next paragraph. Since my car was of a special pedigree, it was inadvisable to allow any ordinary workshop to open the bonnet. The accredited workshop with mechanics, welding, special tools was 100 miles away at Bangalore. For any attention, I had to drive 100 miles every time. At Bangalore, a team of experts would stand around and pronounce their verdict. Engine mountings need replacement. If you want to get rid of the dug dug sound which is bothering you, one of the front shock absorbers must be replaced. But while you do it, replace the pair so that your tire wear will be uniform. Otherwise, your steering system will be damaged. After their diagnosis, they would direct me to one and only establishment this side of the Villiers which stocked imported spares, an exclusive shop catering only to the elite. They could toss across the counter anything you wanted from a little screw to a whole engine at a price fit indeed for royalty still on their thrones. A customer entering this shop was expected to be lofty minded and discreet enough not to question the price, but part with his cash with an air of amused nonchalance and even benevolence. Explanation. R.K. Narayan says that his imported car was of a special pedigree. Students, pedigree means special upbringing, but here it is a special class. So, R.K. Narayan's car was of a special class. It was not examined in any workshop but needed a special workshop. The accredited workshop, meaning the designated workshop, or the particular workshop meant for those cars, was located in a very distant place that was about 100 miles away in Bangalore. And this particular workshop had special mechanics for the cars. What Arkanan wants to say here is that whenever he needed to check his car up in a workshop, he had to drive at least 100 miles away. But after reaching the workshop, he would find that the mechanics would start standing around him and start talking about the car. Someone would say that the engine mountings needed replacement. The other would say that the shock absorbers needed to be changed in order to remove the dug dug sound produced by the car, and that would also make the wear of the tires uniform. Here, these all are mechanical words. Wear of the tire means when the tires are worn because of overdriving or driving in bad roads, and thus the tires get damaged from sides. After such a discussion, the mechanics would direct Arkanarayan to a particular establishment, that means a particular workshop located on the side of the Vindhyas mountain, where every part of a car could be ordered or replaced. In fact, from a screw to a whole machine, everything would be there. But what is important said by Akinarayan is that one has to be very much comfortable during this period. The owner of the car must not show any indifference. In other words, the owner of the car must feel comfortable even with the high price related to different parts. He should not question the prices of the parts and should ever be ready to give whatever they would ask. That too in a very kind manner. So Arkanarayan found it very difficult to adjust with such a system where you would be taken to a distant establishment and would be told to replace one or the other parts of the car and then demanded a big sum of money. Next paragraph. I began to fear that at this rate I was obliged to visit the workshop every other week to shed my savings. I should soon reach the brink of my bankruptcy effortlessly. I seemed to have let myself into a strange world peopled by a class of high priests and voodoo men, the workings of whose minds I could never fathom, but still who held sway over me. Explanation. Students, this is a very small paragraph, but it's important because here we find what Akinarayan really felt about the whole system of this workshop and the people there. He says that if he would have to go to such a workshop, his all money in the accounts would be completely drawn out and he would be on the verge of bankruptcy. Here, students, bankruptcy is a position when one's account is totally emptied. And he also admitted that he used to go once every week to the workshop for one or the other problem in his car. So he says that he found himself in a world where people of high class priests seem to have control over everyone, and voodoo people cast spell over him. Students here, voodoo is a community in the areas of Caribbean Sea performing some rituals and religious performances. In other words, Orkanarayan, whenever used to go to such a workshop, felt that he was surrounded by a number of priests and people, and they used to cast spell over him to spend a lot of money there. Next paragraph. Two cyclists collided and fell on my car, parked in front of the hospital, and smashed the parking light on the left side. It could not it could not ordinarily be replaced in this country. The elite shop could produce one if I was prepared to pay 2,000 for the piece. My mechanic inquired why I didn't visit New York and pick it up there. I had to remind him as gently as I could that he was talking nonsense. Then he examined the damage closely and declared, "Oh, yes, only the glass is broken. We will fabricate a cover in plastic. It may be difficult to get the curvature of the original. I will try." Briskly he unscrewed the whole assembly and left. When I met him again and inquired about the parking light, he looked puzzled and said, Remember, I gave it to you. I needed only the measurement of the socket. Check if it is at home in Mysore. As a rule, I do not like to keep such things with me. No further reference was made to the subject. It was impossible that both of us could be right. One of us must surely have suffered from hallucination, either myself seeing a vision of his taking out the light with the words, "Let me keep it for safety, otherwise, the boys in this shop may steal it." Or he had an illusion of handing it over to me with appropriate words. Explanation. Students, this is a long paragraph, and here Arkanarayan talks about an incident that took place one day with his car. Two cyclists hit each other and fell on the car of Arkanarayan. This broke the parking light of the car. When Narayan took the car to the workshop, one of the mechanics said that it would be better if he would take it to New York. Today's Akinarayan said that he was talking really very nonsense. How could he take it to New York? Then he assured him of removing the broken parts and put a fabrication to make it as it was originally looking. So the mechanic removed all the parts related to the parking light. When Akinarayan went again to replace the light, it was a very difficult situation for him because the mechanic denied that he had taken the parts. On the other hand, the mechanic said that he had handed all the parts to Arkanarayan. But Arkanarayan remembered that he did not take any part of the parking light. On the other hand, he said that he did not like to keep any spare parts at home. So the matter was difficult to understand who was telling right and who was telling a lie. Narayan thought that it could be like that he took the things and forgot where he kept, or maybe some other boy in the workshop had stolen it, or something like that. So, students, we have nearly come to the end of the story. Only two paragraphs are left. Till now, we got to know that Akanarayan was suffering a lot after having his imported sophisticated car. Let us stop here for today. We will be meeting again in our next class. If you have got the books, read the story carefully, try to understand. It is not very easy, but also not very difficult. I'm sure you will understand, and if needed, you listen to what I have said twice or thrice. I'm sure you will understand everything. So, meet you next time in the next class. Till then, bye.